to our Q&A with Qlik webinar series. We are so excited to have all of you with us today for our September session on Replicate. We just had a Techspert talk on this same topic. So for those of you who want to explore more of that after today's session, I definitely recommend checking it out. Our very own Barbara Phil, who is a panelist today, gave us a little show and tell on some key troubleshooting tips. So if you already saw that and you have questions, you came to the right place. Or if you want to explore more after that, we'll point you to it at the end. Now, this webinar series that you're joining today is a live question and answer session. You may have seen us refer to it as our open door office hours with our expert panelists. We really want you to get time in front of our experts, ask a question on today's topic, and get to know us at Qlik a little bit more. So for those of you who are new to this series, I'm Katie Davis, and I will be your moderator for this session. I'm a senior community program manager. I bring support-related events like these to our users, and I'm working on various digital channels on Qlik Community. You might have seen me posting on our support updates blog. That's another great place to get support and product news. I'm located in Philadelphia. It's along the East Coast of the United States. We're starting to get that beautiful fall weather. So we're happy to join you, and we're happy to see people join us from all over the world. Now, before I introduce our panelists, I'll go over some core parameters. Everyone is currently on mute, and we ask that you type your question in the Q&A session panel below. Let me show you on the screen here. It's right there. Just type Q&A, and that's where you can type in your question. We're not going to be typing back to you necessarily in the panel because we'll speak to them live in person right now. Our survey link will pop up when the session is ended, and it is also shared as a QR code in this presentation. So please be sure to complete it. It takes 10 seconds, helps us know what you guys like, what you don't like, and what we can do next. That will also be emailed in a link out with our recording 1 week from today. So if you like what you see and you want to share it with other team members as they are on their Replicate journey, that's the way to do it. We also love getting topic suggestions, so feel free to put that in the survey or just email it to digital@qlik.com. It makes my job easier. I love when we do sessions that you guys want to hear about. We have our next 2 monthly sessions on our registration page, so go ahead and check them out. In October, we're doing Heads in the Cloud, so it's anything cloud-based, nothing is off the table. We want to answer your questions there. Now back to why we are all here today, which is Replicate. It's one of Qlik's data integration products. We ask that you keep your questions relative to that topic. And while we do have Qlik experts on the line, we will not be able to answer any of your questions regarding a specific open case. Okay, now to our impressive list of panelists today. Thank you all for letting us steal some of your time. I'll list them off, and then you guys can each introduce yourselves. So we have Barbara Phil, a technical support engineer, Kelly Hobson, technical support engineer. We have Bill Steinagel, senior support engineer and one of our Replicate SMEs, subject matter experts. And then we have Swati P, who is also a senior support engineer and Replicate SME. So we really have stocked up the panel today. So let's go in that order. Barbara, would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. Hi, everyone. Barbara Phil. I've been working for Qlik/Tunity for about 6 years. My history is more geared towards mainframe background for almost 30 years. And my focus here as tech support, senior tech support engineer, is to support the QDI suite of tools, in particular Replicate. And if you have any mainframe questions, that's my favorite. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Barbara. All right, Kelly, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure thing. Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Kelly Hobson. I'm a tech support engineer for the QDI group here, mostly supporting Replicate. I've been at Qlik for a year now. I was formerly at SAS Institute and support Replicate and also starting to support Qlik AutoML.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Bill.
Hey, this is Bill Steinagel. I've been with Qlik/Tunity going on 4 years. I come from a technical support background, 29 years. Mainframe, on-prem, mid-range, AS400. Any question, reach out, ask. Be happy to help or point you to somewhere will help you. Thanks.
All right, Swati, last but not least.
Yeah, this is Swati. I'm working in Qlik from 1 year, and I'm having experience on Replicate, and also like I'm having experience on SQL. I worked as a SQL DBA, and after that I worked on Hadoop and Kafka endpoints in Fort previously. So somewhat knowledge towards the cloud endpoints. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, guys. Great, and we already have our first question in the Q&A panel. So thank you, everyone. Remember, you can write it in below. This question is, when a critical error occurred, the task is stopped. What is the best practice to start automatically this task without manual start? We think the problem has been fixed. Anyone want to speak to that?
This is Bill. It kind of depends on the type of error that occurred, because if you do an automatic start, you could lose data depending on when the task was started or restarted, I should say. So it's always dependent on the type of error that caused the task to stop. The table could be suspended, and there's settings in Replicate that dictate how the task is going to behave depending on the type of status a table goes into, data error. There's some options within Replicate that dictate how the task is going to behave once the task error is out. Whether it's table, data, row error, it's all dependent on the task.
Do you guys have any recommendations on if they see the error, how they can kind of search for that and find out what it means?
So what I'd like to do, just real quick, I'll share my screen. I could show you a quick where we have the task settings and error handling. I think that would be best to see a visual. Let's see, where is
The Zoom webinar is a little different. It's right at the bottom if you hit share screen in the center.
Oh yeah, there it is. Sorry. Thank you.
Problem.
Okay.
I've done this before.
Okay, you see my screen? So
Yeah.
this is just a test task. This is AS400, my source, and I'm going to a file. Usually under task settings, under error handling, this is what dictates the behavior of the task, depending on the type of error. You can change the settings by setting this. So data errors, we're going to log it to the exceptions table, or you're going to escalate the error handling. If the table's suspended, what do you want to do? Keep the task running, or do you want to stop the task? So each of these error handling options are available that dictates how the task is going to stop. So if a table gets suspended and you continue to run your task, you could have potential data loss. You could go a week with this table being suspended and not even know it. And then the reporting folks or your ETL folks reading the data, oh, we don't have data for a week, and then come to find out this table's been suspended for a week. So you got to really be careful how you set these settings and how you restart your job, because as we all know, data loss, that's one of the big no-nos in data integration. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I think that's great insight.
I'd like to add on to that, because if the question is also, where do I go for help, for information? There's multiple places, and I'll try to share my screen here as well. Hang on. Back in community, you can search for, under replicate for the product. For example, you can search for, I did my demo, last week, DB2 and no data, coming through, something like that. And, as you search on issues, you can have different types of resolutions here that are in the community. But I think there's different levels of searching for help. One of them is obviously look at the log, look at whether you see the warnings or the errors. And if it's a SQL error, there's a good percentage of the time that the SQL error it can be like just database related, and you might need to actually discuss the error with your DBA just to understand what the error is. Of course, you can always Google the error, and that can also give you an idea, and then you can come back into community and look for particular solutions to the problem. And after trying all those things, and if you've looked at the user guide for that endpoint or for that that maybe permutation of the settings that Bill showed you, and if you still can't find the answer to the problem, they're not getting resolved, I would definitely feel free to open up a case on that. But definitely check with your DBA, check with community, and check the log, and feel free to use Google as well if you need to.
And I'll add, as you're sharing your screen, Barbara, that
Yes.
blue help button at the bottom right of your screen.
Yes.
That's our live chat feature. So you can chat with our support agents and you can ask quick questions there, and you might even get a response a little bit quicker than a case. But that's
sure.
Go. Yeah.
This is fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So keep asking your questions. I'll dive into some of the ones I've found across community here. Let me get back to sharing my screen. Okay. So this is kind of more of a less technical and more strategic question. Can you explain replicate versus compose functionality? Are there any great use cases for using them together or using both of them? You want to tackle that?
Kitty, yeah, I can explain. This is
Awesome.
Swati. Like the question is, can you explain replicate versus compose functionality, right?
Yeah.
And use case. Okay, so when we are using Qlik Replicate, like we will move the data from one database type to another database type. Like example, Oracle to SQL, SQL to Hadoop. There will be like many combinations, and we can refer to the user guide to check the supported source and target endpoints per replicate. So before we go to the compose, let's understand what replicate will generate and why we need another tool like compose. So first, replicate will create two kind of tables. One is like apply change and the other one is store changes. So apply change table will create the exact replica of source table. Means if you insert the row on the source, the row will be inserted at target. At any point in time, you will see only one row per PK. Whereas for store changes, replicate will create two set of tables. One is like base and the other one is CT. So where CT table will store all the changes since the full load is completed. So example, I can give an example here. Like let's take an employee table as an example. So if we can assume that employee number 100 gets salary increment every month. And if we consider, right, for apply changes, like the latest update will be there. Like if employee number 100 gets salary, like update from 100K to 200K. So in apply changes, we'll have that latest record. Whereas in store changes, we'll have the history, like before update and after update also. Like 100K and also the 200K. So we can have both the records information, history information. So using this Qlik Compose, Qlik Compose will create a SQL statements to merge the data. Like this will be applicable for store changes. Mainly this compose, right? Why we'll use is like to merge data between base and CT generated by Qlik Replicate store changes. So using this, you can create different views like ODS and historical, but I don't want to go much into the like a compose side. So this is like the functionality, like replicate versus like compose functionality.
Great, thanks. I think that helps set the scene for today as people are thinking, what can they do with their replicate and other QDI products? That's awesome. Anyone want to add to that, or should we jump into the next one? Oh, Bill, I see your hand raised.
Sorry, that was by accident. Sorry about
Just
that.
saying hi.
It's still early. I'm still having coffee.
Me too.
I got a quick, just as like a quick tidbit is that to think of them like replicate can stand alone, and you can have task and into your business with replicate. Compose uses replicate, so they're very much more like linked together, whereas replicate can just be on its own.
All right. So the next question is, how do we know which connectors and sources are supported in our version of Qlik Replicate? What's a good way to look into that?
Yeah, so let me do this.
Document.
Yep, I'm just gonna show, because this is the best way. Oh. So in Replicate, you have this help link up here. I would just go here and type in endpoints. And this will take you to the support matrix, or the supported endpoints for the product. And then here's your list.
Well, that's great. Can you copy that URL address right there?
Sure.
Bill, and paste that in our chat for everyone?
Yeah, this is the 2022-5 Service Pack 3, the latest and greatest version of Replicate. So I will put that in the chat. And this comes with all versions. So the reason behind this was, if you're in Replicate, oh, I got to check. Let's see. Oh, right here. Boom, you're there. And then you can put in your, type in your search, and it's pretty robust. It gets you to the documentation. It gets you to the section of the area that you're looking for, and then you can dig down deeper. And then you could also save it off into a PDF format. So you have those options.
And it looks like you can toggle versions over there to the left, right?
Yes,
right.
that is correct. Right here. Yes, correct.
Awesome.
Yep.
It's a great resource. So that's all out on help.qlik.com.
Correct.
All right. That way you don't have to play a guessing game of whether your connector will work or not.
Right. Yep.
All right. So a reminder, everyone. Oh, I see that paste. Sorry, I thought I saw another question. Ask your questions below so we can get to them today. All right, everyone, it's in the Q&A panel. So we have a question here. We are replicating data from the source, which is DB2, to a destination. They're using Netezza. My customer wants all data to be replicated, but anything that has been deleted on the source should not be deleted on the destination. Any idea how we can achieve this? Barbara, I see you nodding your head.
Yes, I'll share my screen.
Awesome.
Bear with me. Now let me just minimize that. Okay. Move that to the bottom. Right. So if you don't want to allow deletes to come through to your target, this could be any task I'm just showing. I just happen to be in a log stream task, but it doesn't matter what the source and target is. If you have, wait, did you say it was a log stream or just a direct task? Let me go to a direct task, maybe. Let's see now, tech one, for example.
I don't think they specify, so we can
use
direct as an example.
So when it comes to change processing, you can tell Replicate to ignore certain DDL, certain types of DDLs. Let's see now. For example, if your table is dropped, you can ignore it. Source is truncated, or source is altered. Allow that, or don't allow that to come through. but I think there's also a way of telling Replicate to ignore deletes. Now, I have a couple of memories here of a few different choices. Now, I think it's also dependent upon the source endpoint, but I think you might be able to insert like an internal parameter. My memory is serving me on a specific endpoint, but probably not the one you're looking at. So I actually, maybe I might need to think about this one a little bit more. There is a way of saying ignore the deletes. I just can't remember off the top of my head. Oh, maybe a transformation, for example, if you're in a particular table and table selection. I know there's a way of doing it. It's just I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head which source or target endpoint it was. But I think if you do a transformation, you can filter such that you don't include deletes, such that if there's a certain column here, the header operation, for example, let's see now, if it's, I haven't done this a long time, so I'll be honest with you, I do forget, but it's something like, no, not include, you probably want to exclude if there is a delete operation. Let me just double check. Add a range is equal to, delete, I think is the keyword there. You may want to check something like that, such that if there's any operations coming through from the source, and I do think it may depend on the source, that you probably want to do a filter to exclude deletes. Now there's different, and then I know here it says here it is.
Dean is typing in the Q&A saying use operation indicator transformation function to change delete to update. Does that sound right?
That to change it from a delete to an update.
Change delete to update.
That sounds like an
That's
upsert.
a different.
Yeah, that sounds like error handling and the upsert terminology. Like you can change an insert to an update, and you can change a delete to an insert.
Okay.
Right. So that would be under error handling, and then apply conflicts. You want to change to the local policy, unless your global policy is to do the upsert. But the typically the default global policy is just simply to log any exceptions to or issues to a table. But let's see now, hang on. Oh, if there's no, yeah, but this is for error handling. So if they're having errors and they want to ignore a delete, if there's no record found for the delete, then yes, you can say ignore this record, or you can, write it to an exceptions table. That's the only thing I could think of. But if there's a duplicate key, you may want to perform the update. If there's a no record found for when you're applying the update, but the row's not there, typically most customers want to have as much data there on the target as possible. So they make sure that the insert is turned on. And I think there's a link out in community that also explains deeply how this works. And I think Michael Litz shows how to do that. So definitely go to community and find this video about applying a conflict handling policy. But
right.
Yeah, I think.
And we have a lot of people talking on this topic, so I love that we're crowdsourcing this.
Sure.
We have Brett saying that we have a global transformation that adds a deleted date time to the destination table, and it logs the time when the delete operation came through. Allows for a soft delete in the destination based on a hard delete from the source. So they're bringing in soft deletes.
Oh, yeah. So soft delete would be another way of doing it, where the delete, the delete record, the delete instruction comes through, but doesn't actually perform the delete on the target. Yeah, great point. Excellent point.
And Brett's saying they use the operation indicator to do this. Allows the delete operation to simply update the deleted timestamp instead of deleting the record. And then Hein as in Heineken, he pointed out, thank you, Hein. We love Heineken here. Hover over the indicator function to see the help. So hover over feature is also helpful in there. Great. All right. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I think that's helpful as we manage our sources and destination data. All right. So again, keep your questions coming below in the Q&A. We love to hear from you. That's why we're here. This is your hour, not ours. We have another question here that's saying, what's the internal parameter on Qlik Replicate to handle duplicates? We've been shown a little bit of that before.
Yeah, I can answer that.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, actually, there is no such kind of internal parameter. Previously, like Barb showed upset option. So using that offset, we can avoid duplicates whenever we start from back in time. So like you want me, yeah, I can share my screen. I think just
Yes.
now Barb shared her screen and showed.
Great.
Sure, have fun.
Yeah, let me share. Is everyone able to view my screen, right?
Yep.
Okay. So sorry. Under error handling conflicts, we are having this option. Okay, I think by default I selected some SQL merge. Let me uncheck. So this is the one which helps us to avoid duplicates whenever we start from back in time task, and also in like scenarios. Like we can use this upset. Whenever we get duplicate key when applying insert, we have to select this option, update the existing target record. And if there is no record found for an update, then we have to select this, insert the missing target record. So other than this, I don't think we are having any internal parameter to avoid the duplicates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. We have people who are trying to configure alerts for when any existing task is modified and a new table is added in. Guys, any idea on how to help them configure that?
So it sounds like they want an audit.
Yeah, they want to make
task.
sure that nothing's getting changed in the background.
Yeah.
That's manager,
go.
enterprise manager.
Yeah. It can only do so much. Yeah. We might have to take that back. The only auditing that I know within Replicate is to go into Replicate itself and do a history on the task.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think here actually, well, I think we are not having a direct option, right? To use if you want a like direct option in the tool, then it should be a feature request. But I think through QM API calls, using those API calls, like customer or like whoever is having a need, they can write a script to compare the task configurations time to time. And they can create their own notification system to get the whenever there is a modification happening.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right, we only have a few more questions on our end, so get your questions in before we end it. We like to give people time back, but make sure you get yours in so we don't sign off before your question is asked. Here's one. It says, we have seen a recent spike in Oracle archive redo logs. What is a troubleshooting technique for investigating this?
I can take that because yesterday only I just worked with one of the customers regarding the spike in the redo logs. So for that, yeah, let me open the task log.
All right, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, I think I'm having that task log. So this is the task log. Actually, the thing is like customer is getting 5 GB worth of redo logs, archive redo logs getting generated. So obviously they are seeing the increase in the latency. So when we are reading huge redo logs, right, it will take time. So, but customer is experiencing some 10 hours of kind of latency. So usually for Oracle as a source, we are having a option like if we keep performance to trace, we'll get more information. So I can show that. So yeah, if we keep performance in trace, first thing we'll come to know like whether it is source latency or target latency. And also with this, we can see what is the read speed. So here, if we check this, right, for this 100 MB, these many bytes, which is like 100 MB, the read time is taking like, I think some around, okay. So where is the read speed? Yeah, this is the read speed. So it is taking around 13,000 milliseconds. So actually the good read speed is like for 50 MB, 500 milliseconds is the good read speed. But in this case, for 100 MB, it should be like double. So 1,000 milliseconds it should be. But in customer case, we are seeing like 13,000, which is like way more, right? So in these scenarios, first they have to check whether there is a network issue or a disk IO, and also whether where the source is located, source server is located, and where the replicate server is located. If they are far away, then obviously we see this kind of read speed issues. They should be under the same data center and subnet. So if that's the case, then we won't have this kind of issues. So this is one thing. Yeah, if they see more read speed, then they have to check these two things with network related thing and also the disk IO. And if the read speed is not that not like 13,000, if it is just 2,000 milliseconds, and still if they want to improve, what they can do is like in Oracle we are having a internal parameter read ahead blocks. So by adding that, like by default the block value will be like 100K. I think we can increase that if the read speed is good, not like this bad read speed. If the read speed is good, then we can add that internal parameter and increase the value, number of blocks value from 100K to 200K and 500K. So depending on that, a customer can test it. So this is without ASM setup. If it is with customer is having ASM setup, then there are a couple of internal parameters where they can fine tune it. So I think I'm not having ASM setup, but I can show kind of what parameters, internal parameters. So, okay, this is, yeah, this is Oracle, right? Let me open. So this is one of the thing, number of concurrent ASM threads. So instead of 1, we can increase up to 8. So 8 threads will be going in parallel, and for improving good performance. And I think that here only like we can add that read ahead blocks.
I don't think the
you're
window
sharing.
changed. Yeah.
I don't think you're sharing, Swati.
Okay. Okay. I think let me stop sharing
Sorry.
this.
Yes.
So let me share this. Replicate. Okay. So yeah, under Oracle source endpoint, right? If we go to this source endpoint, if customer is having ASM setup, in my case it is not ASM, but I'm just showing what they can do. They can increase these threads. By default, it will be like 1. So, but for better performance, we can increase like up to 8. It is the max. And also, like if we go to internal parameters, like we can add whatever I'm telling read ahead blocks, right? So those kind of parameter, and another parameter will be there. Let me check. SQL parameter will be there. Oh.
I just saw it. Yeah. Read ahead blocks.
This one ASM and yeah, but I think read ahead blocks also will have here. This is the one. So we can increase this for better performance. Yep.
I think performance tuning is also a matter of testing things out and seeing what works for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like taking a half step to the left and then a half step to the right, and then somewhere in the middle is the sweet spot of finally tuning the performance of Replicate and how it's going to act and behave on your data as it's moving through. So,
and yeah, this is Bill. I just wanted to add to that around more of the question of the Oracle source having more workload on the redo logs, more so that you're having a lot of redo log generation on the Oracle source side. So back to what Swati was saying, to get improved performance, you may have to increase some of the threads and the data pipe and the buffers and the location of the replicate server. But another question goes back to the application folks, and what tables do they have supplemental logging turned on for? Because as we know, replication, we're going to read the redo logs for the transactions within the table. So if you have a lot more supplemental logging on that you don't need, you might want to consider removing some of those tables and supplemental logging, because that'll reduce the redo log replication or the redo log size on your Oracle source. That replicate wouldn't have to read through. So that's just another option too.
Thank you, Bill. And I pasted the link you shared to everyone in the chat. It's just a link to one of our knowledge articles on some of the
ASM and the threads that Swati went over.
Yeah, so feel free to check this out. While I have it up, I'll just point out some of the things that you can look out for on Qlik Community. So this is community.qlik.com. If you have a Qlik ID, I would definitely sign in here because you can see more once you sign in. But we really want you to look at, I'd say, the forums. We have all of our data integration products here. Well, most of them. And then Qlik Replicate is right here on the bottom. So if you have questions and you want to do what we're doing here, which is crowdsourcing the answers, this is the way to do it. You can just create a post, and look, we have our experts, other experts here looking and moderating and exploring this section. I've seen our panelists today. A lot of them are in these forums and answering the questions, so you can always get a hold of us by posting in this forum. It's a great way to get responses, not only from Qlik support, but other partners we have, our MVPs, luminaries, every other users, just Qlik experts of them all. And then I will say we have things to look out for like downloads. If you want to go into support and product news, you can find our release notes on new versions. You can update to the most recent Qlik Replicate at the downloads page. We in support have our support updates blog, which I mentioned earlier. And then we have our webinar program. So Q&A with Qlik, our live office hours, you're in it right now. Textpert Talks, I consider this like a show and tell where there's a demo on a certain topic, and then they also answer questions on that at the end. And then Qlik Fix is our quick video YouTube, snippet. So if there's quick how-tos, we try to make it in a digestible form. I'll just look at Textpert Talks because I know I mentioned it in the beginning and I don't want to leave you guys all hanging. You can go to this page and you can register for future sessions by hitting subscribe, but all of the recent recording ones are listed here. So we see Qlik Replicate troubleshooting. And Barbara was the host with my colleague Troy this month. So they go through how Replicate works, understanding these log files, which we definitely touched on today, and quickly resolving those common issues. So you can look at it all, or you can quickly jump into any question that you think will answer something that is on your mind. And there's also additional resources. This is a great jumping off point to look into our user guide and other documentation that we were sharing today. That's out on help.qlik.com. So I'm going to post this for everyone here now, so you can check that out after this. And we only have a few more questions, so get yours in if you want them answered in the Q&A below. We have a quick question on how do I replace a field name when replicating data to a new destination? Any thoughts on that?
Well, I'm sorry, Katie, could you repeat that? Is it a literal or I wasn't sure of the question. One more
This
time.
was out on one of the community forums, and they're asking,
Okay.
how do I replace a field name when replicating data to a new destination? So I think they're changing the field name from their source to their destination. Are they able to do that with Replicate?
They can add a column, or go ahead, Kelly. You got it.
Oh yeah, or yeah, that would be done by a column transformation on like the table level, or even like a global transformation. And
Okay.
I can share out quick to show that. And Bill, feel free to jump in to add if you see anything. Can you all see this nulls test?
No, we don't see your screen.
I think it has like 2 steps.
Oh,
So you hit
it's
share.
got another step.
There,
There we go.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, here's just a simple task, SQL Server to Snowflake. The global level, this would apply for all your tasks. There's these new rule transformation. You can do a rename column if you want to change the name of that column from the source to the target so it reflects differently. And you go through the steps here where you can specify the schema, table, column name is like, and then, enter your expression. You can rename the column to, let's just say test finish. And then now you have that transformation set up. So that's one option. Also at the table level in your task, you can go to this transform tab and you can edit the output to the name that you like. So you can transform on the actual name level, the type you can change. And if you want to have an expression for your transformation, that's where you can click into these functions in the expression builder. But I think for your case, it would be more like on the name of the column level is where you would be doing it as a global or a table level.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, last question, everyone. It's when you migrate tasks from the test environment to the production environment, after making a change to the tasks, do you resume tasks after the migration or run through the advanced setting to resume from the last timestamp? That was a long one. Were you able to follow?
Yeah, I think that depends because unless test and production, meaning the replicate tool, is accessing the same source, that's going to be dependent on how you want to start your task. Because you might have to reload the task. It depends on the source that you're reading from. You might do a start from timestamp. Are the tables already loaded in your production environment? So there's different variations depending on the environment on how you're going to start your task. So I wouldn't say there's a straight answer for that question. It's dependent on your source and your target and the access to the source. If the source is the same, you would probably do a resume, or you may have to do an advanced run option. But like I said, it depends on the environments that you're moving from and to.
Okay. So
Yeah, in addition
what?
to in addition to Bill, I just want to add more. So when we are migrating tasks from test environment to production environment, right? So that if it is a different server, test environment is on different server and the production environment is different server, then if we are moving the task JSON and if we are moving the data folder, then we can resume the task. But if we are just moving the task JSONs, in that case, we have to go with the reload, because as we don't have the pointers where to start from the task, in that case, if we are just migrating only the task JSONs, in that case, we have to reload the task or start from backend timestamp.
okay. If you want to give more details on that, you can always chat with us on that help chat button, post more on the forums, and we'll get more detail to your question.
And Katie, I just wanted to, I know we're going to be closed soon. I just wanted to add to the customers on the call. We've given a lot of links, a lot of information. There's all these links. There's so much information. You know, one good thing to recommend, use the Qlik help within the tool. A lot of that information's there. If you go into Replicate, you go into the help and you put in, you know, just a search, a lot of that information's there. And the community. Those are the two first places I would look before opening a case with us, because most of the time you're going to find what you're looking for. So hopefully that helps. Thanks.
It's great. You don't even have to leave the tool.
Yeah, and I dropped a community, a forum conversation that kind of answered and was talking about a similar question.
Okay, let me post that to everyone. Okay, awesome. And let me pull that back up on community. Just a reminder that we're out here, Q&A with Qlik. You can sign up for our next session. It's listed right there, Heads in the Cloud. So we'd love to see you there. And we even go into the Qlik Management Console in November. So a lot of great things to come. If you want more data integration stuff, let us know. I know we touched on like Enterprise Manager and Compose a little bit earlier. We'd love to do those sessions as well. So let us know what you like. Let me pull up the slides again so you can want to sign up. Just use this QR code right here. And we have another QR code at the end for our survey. I do see really at the last hour, Hein, you asked another question. I will ask it out since we have everyone here. I don't want to skimp on your question. If there are minor changes from dev to prod, I think it's more of a comment than a question.
Oh.
So based off of our last question, if there are minor changes from dev to prod, you can promote a task often by just importing the task part from the export, editing out the databases and other section. In that case, a stop and resume can be enough. Do you guys all agree, panelists?
Yes.
All right. See, we
Yeah, and I just
among all of us.
yeah, and I just wanted to add a note with because there's Qlik, Replicate, and Compose, part of the QDI suite. Specifically with Qlik, Replicate, and Qlik Enterprise Manager, you want to try to be at the same release and service pack. If there's a service pack release for QEM with Replicate, just to rule out any UI issues that you may run into, they're usually fixed at the same service pack. So just as an FYI.
Great. All right. Thank you, panelists, for your time. Thank you, everyone, for participating. We really enjoy having you guys here, and we're glad you get to know us at Qlik. Reach us out on Qlik Community. We love having you here, and we love hearing from you. So have a great week, everyone.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.